was already doing radio tours. I had shows lined up, so many things that were happening. And one night I had a dream. I say dream because it was more of a vision or an out of body experience, but
Mhm.
it looked like I was in space, and it felt so real that I could feel the vibration of space. It's very weird to say this, but I'm going to try to say it as clear as I can. But there was
Yeah.
like this vibration happening. And I just remember feeling a boom, boom, boom. It's weird. And I was like, whoa, I'm in space and I can feel everything. Wow, this is amazing, God. Because again, I always had a relationship with God. I was just in rebellion.
Mhm.
And I remember I could identify that this area beneath me was the earth.
Mm.
And I would look at it, and because it looked like the earth, I could see water, I could see land, and then I could see stars. And then I saw this fire in the distance. It wasn't the sun. It didn't look like the sun. It looked like literally like a suspended lake of fire.
Hmm.
That's what it looked like. Because I'm like, is
Okay.
that the sun? That's not the sun. It's shaped differently. And then this being just comes out of the darkness, and this being is dark. He's like just like the silhouette of him. And I remember as he's approaching me, I see legs, I see arms. The arms are very muscular. The hands had very pointy ends, like claws. The head appeared to be bald. I couldn't see features in the face. I just saw the body. And the
Yeah.
legs were attached to darkness. So I couldn't see feet. I just saw the legs attached to darkness. It was just dark. And as he approached me, I was like a little confused, but I'm like, Lord, because I knew this was a supernatural being. I don't know who, because I questioned. I was like, Lord.
Mhm.
And when he spoke, his words weren't audible words. I felt them in my body, and I vibrated. And he said, "No, you know who this is." And I vibrated when he spoke, and I immediately was gripped with fear because I knew I was living in rebellion. I
Yeah.
knew I was constantly turning a deaf ear to God because I wanted to pursue my life my way.
Yeah.
And so the first thing that came over me was, "Oh my God, I died and I'm going to hell." Because I've had so many like scary moments in my life, like airplanes and situations that could have taken my life, and I would pray and ask God to forgive me, right? Just being just taking God's grace for granted. But I
Yeah.
remember thinking, "Oh my God, I died. No, 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 no."
Mm.
That feeling, oh my God, I never want to experience that feeling again. The feeling of potentially being separated from God. I never want to feel that again.
Yeah.
But I felt that, and I started repenting, like forgiving, asking God to forgive me. Forgive me for lying. Forgive me for disobeying you. I'm just ranting out everything I could think of for God to forgive me. And he said to me, Satan, obviously it was Satan because I knew it wasn't God because he said, you know who this is. So it's like I had a relationship with him and I didn't
Mm.
realize. And he
Oh.
told me, yes, and he told me, shut up. Like it's almost like he was in a rush to tell me what he needed to tell me. And he said, if you worship me, I will give you all these things. And so immediately became comforted. I'm like, oh, I'm not dead. This is my chance. This is my last moment to choose, basically. This
Mm.
is the grace of God that's telling me to choose. And then when he said, the earth appeared like one of those, if you ever go to a psychic, I've never been to one, but I know that they use these balls, and the balls sometimes project images. The earth was doing that. It's projecting images
Ah.
as he was telling me, if you worship me, I'll give you fame. I'll give you success. I'll give
Wow.
you this name of a man, which I Googled him. I don't think he was real. I think if he was, he wasn't famous yet. And I didn't Google him after that, but I Googled this guy's name that he said and all these things. And so after he finished his spiel, I was like, no, I'm the daughter of Christ. And he called me the B word. He called me the B word. And then it was like something pulled me back, and I woke up with a gasp of air, and I was like, "Did that just happen to me?" And I immediately called my mom and told her what happened, and she broke down crying, and she started praying
Mm.
for me. And
Yeah.
so after recalling this event over and over and over again, the fact that I would feel his words in my body.
Mm.
And I thought about this scripture when God was like, "If you abide in me and my words abide in you, everything and anything you ask shall be done for you." And God was telling me I was in fellowship with the enemy because I believed the lies, and he's the father of lies, and his lies were in me. And
Mm.
God had to deliver me from those lies over time. I'm still
Yeah.
being delivered. We're always being delivered every
Yeah.
day, right? But the music aspect, like him, the fact that I had that experience told me
Mm.
that music is very important. And it's a
Mhm.
big tool, a big weapon of the enemy to use to deceive people because again, we talked about, you mentioned the meditation part.
Mhm.
Music is meditation.
Yeah.
Constantly singing, singing, replaying, replaying, replaying. So much so that, speaking personally, I would listen to songs that would shape me into promiscuity. Like,
Yep.
"Oh, I can sleep around. I don't have to, it's okay. God will forgive me," or whatever. Like, it's fine. And I would start to adopt these habits. "Oh, I could smoke weed. Oh, I could be in these environments. It's cool." Like, it's actually liberating. It's freeing, and you don't realize that's actually bondage.
Yeah, exactly. Oh
So
my gosh. I have the chills, like, I was tearing up, that's just I can't imagine encountering him in that way that you encountered him, like, somewhere between space and time, um,
yeah.
just, like,
And
out in space. Yeah, it's crazy.
what's crazy is, so I was in New York when this happened. I got on the next flight to Florida, which is where my family was, and I went to church that Sunday. This was a Friday, I believe. I went to church that Sunday, and the pastor was talking about the three heavens. The
Mm,
first heaven being like, the atmosphere, the second heaven being space, and the third heaven being where God's throne is. And I'm like, "Oh my God, I was in the second heaven. I was in space."
yeah.
Like, I had this revelation, then I would look in scripture, I'm like, "Oh my God." And then, I told my pastor, I don't think he believed me when I told him what happened. But I was
We believe
grateful
you.
that God told me what happened. Like, you were here, and the enemy has domain over, he's a ruler of the prince of the power of the air.
Yeah,
Like, he's the ruler right now. And I'm like, "Oh, wow, God, okay." I and then like literally that week, the next week I called the owners of a label I was signed to, and I was like, "Guys, I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry."
yep.
Because they were asking me, "How long you're going to be in Florida? When are you coming back?" I'm like, "I think God's telling me to put everything down."